What if your favorite Bible verse became a criminal offense overnight? Canada was once a bastion of freedom, but a seismic shift in 2026 has changed everything. Is the government officially muzzling the holy word, or is the state now the final judge of which scriptures are safe to say out loud? The question on everyone's lips is simple. Is Canada trying to ban the Bible? If you listen to the government talking points, the answer is a polished no. They'll tell you the Bible remains legal to own and read. But if you look at the fine print of Bill C-9, also known as the Combating Hate Act, you'll see a much more troubling reality. The government hasn't banned the book, they've just dismantled the legal shield that allows you to believe it out loud. The good faith shield. Why it mattered. To understand why Bill C-9 is so dangerous, we have to look at how Canadian law worked before the Liberals and the Bloc Québécois sat down to rewrite the rules. Under Section 319 of the Criminal Code, Canada already had some of the strictest hate speech laws in the Western world. You could be prosecuted for willfully promoting hatred against identifiable groups. However, there was always a safety valve for people of faith. This was known as the religious exemption. It stated that a person could not be convicted of a hate crime if, in good faith, they were expressing an opinion on a religious subject or an opinion based on a belief in a religious text. In plain English, if a pastor preached a sermon on traditional marriage or a parent quoted the Book of Romans at a school board meeting, the law recognized that they weren't promoting hate. They were simply practicing their faith. It was a common sense protection that recognized that in a free society, a holy book isn't a weapon, it's a foundation. But in the corridors of power in Ottawa, that foundation is now being treated like a criminal liability, and the fuse has already been lit. Enter Bill C-9, the Trojan horse. In early 2026, the Liberal government, under immense pressure from secular special interest groups and the Bloc Québécois, did the unthinkable. They moved to repeal that religious exemption. As of March 25, 2026, when Bill C-9 cleared its final hurdle in the House of Commons, that safety valve was officially unscrewed. The government's justification? They claimed the exemption was a loophole that allowed people to hide behind religion to spread malice. But here's the problem. The law already prohibited incitement to violence. It already prohibits actual hate propaganda. By removing the specific protection for religious texts, the government hasn't just closed a loophole. They've painted a target on the back of every person who takes the Bible literally. The People's Revolt. A nation divided. The elites in Ottawa clearly underestimated the firestorm they were igniting. Across the country, the silence the government expected has been replaced by a deafening roar of public defiance. This isn't just a few angry voices. A massive coast-to-coast coalition of 23 faith-based and civil liberties groups has officially demanded the government drop the bill, calling it an unprecedented expansion of state power.
Together, along with 23 faith-based civil liberties and community organizations, collectively issued a joint statement on December 1st rejecting Bill C-9, the so-called Combating Hate Act. We are here as part of a coast-to-coast coalition raising the alarm about Bill C-9 and the unprecedented expansion of police and state power it represents. This coalition brings together multi-faith, civil society, legal defense, and labor communities, each sounding the alarm from a different vantage point, but united in the belief that Bill C-9 threatens core democratic freedoms and should be withdrawn.
Let's see what the general public says.
That's insane. Wait, that's actually going to be a thing?
Yeah, so basically it's like an amendment to the hate speech bill that would put like...
So they're saying that like putting Bible verses or Quran verses a hate crime?
They're saying that some Bible verses or some Quran verses can be considered hateful by people, and so people who quote those verses that some find hateful could be charged or prosecuted. What's your thoughts?
I think that could happen with anything. That could happen with any book or anything that anyone has written. Anything could be taken out of context or used in a derogatory manner. So I don't think it's valid to apply to just two things, especially that are involved with religion.
I don't think that should be allowed, because I feel like as Canada, as a diverse country, and you're promoting like banning certain things, like that's going against what you believe in as a country.
Grassroots coalitions aren't pulling any punches. They're calling this a direct declaration of war on the pews by a government that's grown drunk on its own authority. For the millions who view the Bible as their ultimate compass, the message to the Liberal Bloc Alliance is lethal to their narrative. You can repeal our legal protections, but you will never repeal our convictions. The public isn't alone in this fight. High-ranking officials like Conservative MP Leslyn Lewis are sounding the alarm. She pulls no punches, warning that Bill C-9 isn't about safety. It's a direct move to police your faith and silence any views the government doesn't like.
My first objection to Bill C-9, I find it quite perplexing that Christian hate was not even mentioned in the bill. In recent years, we have seen alarming hate-motivated attacks, including burning and vandalism of churches across Canada. Just last week, a century-old Ukrainian Orthodox church in Edmonton was burned to the ground. As we witness a record number of sacred spaces being destroyed, Christians have noticed the government's silence. Congregations have been left in fear, and people of faith feeling abandoned by their government's lack of enforcement of existing laws. In this context, it is shocking that a bill about combating hate is completely silent on the rise of Christian hate. The government's press release mentions anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, and transphobia, yet it makes no mention of the rise of hate crimes towards Christians.
The irony is that Canada didn't need more laws. The criminal code was already packed with tools to stop actual crime. Conservative MP David Bext calls out the bluff, reminding Parliament that Canada already has strict laws to prosecute real hate, proving that C9 isn't about filling a gap, but about layering on more control.
Mr. Speaker, let's be clear about something. Hate is real. It is wrong, and it must be confronted. But here's the truth this government does not want to admit. Hate has festered in this country on their watch, not because we lack laws, but because they have failed to enforce the laws we already have. The Criminal Code of Canada already contains clear hate speech provisions in Section 318 and 320. These cover the public and willful incitement of hatred, the advocacy of genocide against identifiable groups, and include specific provisions addressing the willful promotion of Holocaust denial and anti-Semitism. Canada already has the legal tools to deal with hate speech. We already have the means to prosecute those who incite violence and promote hatred. This is not a failure of legislation, it is a failure of enforcement.
We already have laws against mischief relating to religious property, uttering threats, criminal harassment, public incitement of hatred. So why pass Bill C9? Why create a new, standalone hate crime offense and increase maximum penalties to 10 years in prison? The answer is simple: control. By broadening the definition of hatred to include anything the state deems as detestation or vilification, and by removing the religious defense, the government has given itself the power to decide which parts of the Bible are acceptable and which parts are criminal. The chilling effect. The government's defenders will tell you, don't worry, quoting a verse isn't going to get you arrested tomorrow. But that misses the point entirely. The real danger of Bill C9 is the chilling effect. Think about it. If you're a small-town pastor or a Christian business owner, are you going to risk a 10-year prison sentence and a ruinous legal battle just to stand up for your convictions? The numbers tell a story the government would rather ignore. In 2021, we witnessed a staggering 260% explosion in hate crimes against Catholics, a wave of hostility fueled by a summer of church arsons across the country. While the Liberal Bloc Alliance claims Bill C9 is about protection, these stats prove that the true north has become increasingly dangerous for the very people whose legal shield is being stripped away. When the good faith defense is gone, the process becomes the punishment. Even if a judge eventually clears you, the government has already won. They've forced you to hire a lawyer, dragged your name through the mud, and ensured that every other believer in the country thinks twice before quoting a controversial scripture in public. It's a soft totalitarianism. They don't have to burn the books if they can just make you too afraid to open them. The double standard. Perhaps the most frustrating part of Bill C9 is the blatant double standard. While the government is busy stripping away protections for traditional Christians, they've been remarkably quiet about other forms of expression. For years, we've seen radical activists block access to hospitals, disrupt public spaces, and even vandalize churches with relative impunity. Between 2021 and October 2025, at least 44 churches were burned to the ground, with 24 officially confirmed as arson. Yet Bill C9 focuses heavily on intimidating people from accessing identifiable group spaces, a move that many believe is designed to stop peaceful pro-life witnesses or parents protesting radical curriculum in schools. It's a one-way street. The government wants to protect the feelings of the identifiable groups it likes, while criminalizing the deeply held beliefs of the people it doesn't. What happens next? As of April 2026, Bill C9 is heading to the Senate. The Conservative Party and various civil liberties groups are fighting to put the good faith protection back in, but the liberal NDP bloc alliance seems determined to push it through. If this bill becomes the law of the land in its current form, Canada will have officially entered a new era. It will be an era where the state, not the church and not the individual, is the final arbiter of what constitutes moral speech. Is the Bible banned? Strictly speaking, no. You won't see police raiding homes for Bibles today. But make no mistake, the Bible is being sidelined. By removing the religious exemption, Canada is telling its citizens that the Word of God is no longer a valid defense in a court of law. They are saying that your good faith beliefs are secondary to the state's ever-shifting definitions of social justice. For those of us who believe that rights come from God, not the government, this is a wake-up call. Canada is no longer the true north, strong and free. It is becoming a place where you are free to believe whatever you want, as long as you keep it inside your head and behind closed doors. The legal hammer hasn't dropped on every believer yet, but with Bill C-9, the government has made sure the hammer is polished, loaded, and ready to fall. Conclusion: we are living through a pivotal moment in Western history. The attack on the religious exemption in Canada isn't just a minor amendment. It is a direct assault on the idea that there is a truth higher than the government's latest policy. If you value your freedom, if you value the right to speak the truth, and if you value the Bible as anything more than a historical artifact, it is time to pay attention. The Bible isn't banned yet, but the freedom to live by it is currently on the chopping block. Don't let them tell you it's about stopping hate. It's about who gets to define what hate is. And in 2026, the Canadian government just decided it's them, not the book. As this bill moves through the Senate, the pressure is on. Will Canadians stand up for the good faith protections that have kept the peace for generations? Or will we allow the state to become our new high priest? The choice and the consequences belong to us.